Central Guinea Pig Rescue. Hello Cabby followers, great to see you again. I'm coming to you tonight to talk about a subject with lots of questions that I've had throughout the last 24 hours on bedding. What to actually have your guinea pigs sitting on that I consider to be really fantastic for them. I can't give you everything here in this short time that we have, but I can certainly give you the rundown on my thoughts and certainly on what works out there. Okay, what we call bedding, we refer to as substrate. So we look at different types of substrates to keep our animals healthy on, guinea pigs healthy on, that work for them. There are many different varieties of substrates that you can use. And let's have a bit of a run through with some of the more common ones that are available and that people do use out there. So we certainly have, just throwing a few things in the air, we have hay. I've seen guinea pigs kept on paper, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, we'll delve into that in a moment. So hay, paper, shavings, fleece. There's a fabric called vet bed, which is relatively new out there in the marketplace. There's paper, shredded paper. There's kitty litter. There's different types of chaff that you can use. So there's lots of different varieties, and believe me, I have seen them all and I have used them all here at the sanctuary. The types of substrates that you need to use with your guinea pigs in order to keep them healthy really depends on a couple of things. And one of the factors is where they're going to be housed. Because if your guinea pigs are lucky enough to be housed indoors, there are some things that will work a little bit better than others, or you might find more convenient than others. If your guinea pigs are being housed outdoors, then certainly, again, the substrate that you're going to use for them out there will be different. So let's have a look at each one of them. At the end of the day here in the rescue, I actually utilize all of them depending on the needs of the animal, the location of where they are, and lots of different factors. And there are advantages and disadvantages pretty much to all of them. Some of them I would without a doubt not use, and we'll run through those. And there are others that you could go one way or another. And again, it depends where you're housing the animals, how regularly you're going to clean them, how you want to maintain their environment and what works. We even have situations where animals, guinea pigs, are allergic to certain substrates. So in that instance, we have to gauge what the problem is and then be able to adjust to find the right substrate for them. So it really does vary from case to case. So let's have a look at them. Shavings, firstly, would be the number one thing that we use commonly in the shelter. They are a dust-free shaving that you can purchase, which has the dust extracted before you actually put it into the caged area. One of the key features of shavings is that they take any urine away from the top surface where the animals are. So that keeps them dry and safe from that building up, like a lot of other things won't do. So shavings in that respect are really good. They can be messy. They're a lot of work, and some people have issues with that. So they're fantastic. I find they really work and I would recommend them, but they're not going to work really well in a lot of different situations. For example, indoors, you might find if you're using shavings and you've got carpet, that they're going to fall in the process of setting up your cage, and you might find that a little bit tedious to deal with. So in that sense, a different substrate might work better. With shavings here, I always recommend that you have 2 inches of shavings within your cage. If it's any less than that, there's not enough padding and soft material underneath the guinea pigs, and at the same time it doesn't work in the way to actually take away the liquid in the urine from the animals. Kitty litter is something that I have used. I find that kitty litter clumps together in different areas, and in that way you can get messier areas on the top surface level of where you've got the kitty litter. Some people prefer that. I also find that some of the brands are quite lumpy, and because guinea pigs don't have fur on their feet, it can be quite awkward for them to walk on that. It's not the softest of substrates for them, so I don't tend to use that. But I've also seen some kitty litters and have used some that are very soft. So there are different types out there, but expense is also another consideration when you're looking at these substrates, because if you're buying individually one substrate over another, the price is going to vary considerably. So all these facets really have to be looked at when you're housing your guinea pigs well. Fleece, I've got some here. Fleece is fantastic. So fleece is another substrate that we use here for guinea pigs. It's really soft underfoot, but there are some advantages and disadvantages with fleece. One of the advantages is, of course, it's very soft. A disadvantage is that if you get this right off the shelf, you actually need to wash it several times in order for it to be absorbent. If you don't wash it, then it's not absorbent and you're going to run into issues with your guinea pigs. Another issue with fleece is, of course, your washing is going to go up considerably. So your wash load, you need to soak these, and we can cover that, you know, someplace else. There are tricks and tips that will help with all of this. But yeah, the washing component is really high, and certainly there's a load that you need to look after within your own washing machine environment. With fleece, you also have underlayers. So the fleece tends to be the top layer of your substrate, and then under that we need an absorbent layer. And the absorbent layer that people can put under there might be, for example, puppy pads can go underneath. There's also bedding material that you can get that is quite good at collecting moisture. Also toweling works really well under there. So there's lots of materials we can put under the fleece to thicken it and to work really well. So vet bed, who out there uses vet bed? It's a very new fabric. Vet bed is quite lumpy. It's very similar to fleece. It's a little bit more sticky, if you like, for different substances. Like hay will attach to it much stronger than it does to fleece. So what I have found with vet bed is that the cleaning process is actually more, because there's lots of little lumpy areas in it, and different food items can then get caught in the vet bed. So at the opposite end of the scale, the cleaning component, that side of things escalates. So again, you need to work out what is going to work really well in the environment where you have your guinea pigs. It's really soft. It's certainly soft, just like fleece, but and it's thicker. Overall, it feels thicker. I've also seen guinea pigs nibble at it and bite it, and that's not good to ingest something that is effectively an artificial product. So I'm not really keen on promoting vet bed. I also know that it's very expensive and have purchased it, and it's, you know, for a lot of people that's out of their reach, when in fact you can get fleece quite readily. Just while I mention fleece as well, because it needs to be washed several times, you can actually pick this up second hand in different locations. You might find them through op shops or something like that, where there is some fleece. You can certainly make use of that because it's been through the wash many times. Certainly when you bring it home, give it a wash yourself, but it already has that absorbent level ready to go. So you don't need to wash it many times. You can simply start using it after one wash and you know it's fine. So yeah, there's another substrate out there that I've seen, which is paper and shredded paper. Now paper, I've seen many guinea pigs in the past being kept on paper. I would never ever recommend this because it's hard. It's a little bit like walking on tiles yourself. There's no padding, and their little feet do need padding in whatever substrate they have. So if you simply have a layer of paper, it's not comfortable, and it leads to a whole host of other issues down the track. So paper's not really suitable. For anyone that has got their guinea pigs on paper, you'll find that as they walk around, if they do urinate and then walk on it again, they'll get wet hair, they'll get little wet feet. It leads to a host of issues. So paper, even if you're changing that paper constantly, is not suitable. You need to have a substrate which is suitable and is going to take that moisture away, that can be maintained really easily. Shredded paper is a little bit different in the sense that it does provide some cushioning. The problem with shredded paper is that you absolutely need to know what's on the paper. So I've had shredded paper in the past with coloured components in it, and if your guinea pigs attempt to eat that, they're actually eating ink dyes and things that aren't natural to their diet. So that's the biggest problem I have with shredded paper. Also, if it's in really, really long shredded sections, it can entangle their feet and get caught around different limbs. So it's not particularly safe, although, you know, it's very extremely rare to have had anything like that happen. But again, it's just not something I'd personally recommend. Once they start walking around on shredded paper and they start urinating, it really does flatten down in no time at all. Where shavings, where fleece, where other options will actually withstand that, and it becomes far more comfortable and maintainable. Chaff, that's another one. Has anyone used chaff before? There's lots of different chaffs out there, pea chaff, all sorts of things. With chaff, I have used it and I've tried it. It actually goes mouldy really fast by comparison to shavings and other substrates. And that's the problem there. If you've got mould then inhibiting where the guinea pigs are living, you've got a host of other issues from respiratory to illnesses that can occur. So chaff, I find it just doesn't have the longevity of some of the other substrates. So you can use it if it's short term, if it's available. You can have that 2-inch layer. It's not as absorbent as, say, shavings. It's a little bit more absorbent than straw, which is not absorbent at all. So in that sense, it might be a temporary measure, but I certainly wouldn't recommend it long term. Interestingly enough, in summer and winter, change of temperatures, that can also have a bearing on what is more suitable for guinea pigs. They do have their preferences as to what they use, and that's often not our preferences. So something to bear in mind. It's good to trial that with your guinea pigs. If you've got, for example, long-haired guinea pigs with a really long coat, you're going to struggle keeping them on shavings, because shavings will in fact get caught in the coats, and you'll be brushing more often, and maintenance of that goes up. Can be done, and I have done it, absolutely. But yeah, just a word of warning that's what can happen with longer coated piggies. And so again, it's really based on the animals that you have, the scenario you have, where they're being kept, how they're living, as to what's going to work really well for you. The number one factor here is that the animals are kept dry, and that anything within the substrate area takes away moisture from where they are. So that's the good thing. It also needs to be workable for you, and maintainable. If it's not workable and maintainable, then it's going to become a problem. And that's when people feel it's too difficult to keep and house these animals. So that's the reality we have. There's a lot more we can go into, but what I might do is have a think about how we'll go about putting that material up. There's lots of tips and tricks that can really shortcut your time. You know, I deal with a massive load here in rescue, and constantly, as well as other work that I do, and you know, it is doable. But when people would look at the scale of what I do, it would certainly scare a lot of people. So there are enormous tips and tricks I can share with you in all of that work, that keep your animals safe and comfortable and really happy. And we'll go more into that. So I think that's it for now, everyone. Bye for now.